Wonder Woman 1984 versus Monster Hunter. Who will win this holiday season? What is happening? Why is anything actually coming out in public theaters? I'm getting into it in this installment of Twisted Horror News. Hey Twisted people, it's your Twisted Girl next door here, Chauncey K. Robinson, and today I am talking about Wonder Woman 1984 versus Monster Hunter. Yes, this holiday season, people who will brave going to theaters will have to choose between Wonder Woman 1984 and Monster Hunter, or, maybe you'll see both. I don't know. I am talking about Monster Hunter versus Wonder Woman 1984, more so in connection to the fact that they're both coming out around the same exact time. And given the circumstances of the world we currently live in, people may not be trying to run out to see both if they're actually going to a public theater, given how much of an ordeal it is at this given time since we're dealing with pretty much a global pandemic going on. So I wanted to kind of talk about Wonder Woman 1984, which isn't necessarily horror. It's more so in connection to the entertainment world, movies coming out, and in connection to Monster Hunter, which I do consider a horror action flick, if that's a thing. I think it's a thing where there are giant monsters being fought for. So let's get into it. So ever since this whole crisis of the world health-wise began, there was a will it or won't it concerning Wonder Woman 1984, which is the sequel to the blockbuster of Wonder Woman. And for those who don't know Wonder Woman and aren't, hip to DC universe, and no shade to you if you're not, I'm a DC fangirl over Marvel, but, not everyone knows about the Wonder Woman universe. And Wonder Woman is basically a woman superhero, who basically comes from the Amazons, and she has superpowers, and she comes to Earth. Yes, that's it. That's all you need to know. And so it was a big hit about 2017, I believe, the first Wonder Woman movie came out with Gal Gadot in it. And so this one is coming out, and it was supposed to be coming out this year. I think it was coming out originally in the summertime, and then it got pushed back. And I think there was a hope that eventually this pandemic that the world is dealing with would be over by then, so that theaters could open back up. And so that's not really happening. So there was a will it, won't it kind of back and forth with Wonder Woman 1984, and whether or not they were going to just let it pull a Tenet and basically just go straight to theaters, no streaming, just straight to theaters, and just be like, whoever's going to see it, it's going to see it because this is meant to be on the big screen. Oh my gosh. Or would it go to streaming? More so HBO Max streaming, which is, owned by Warner Brothers, and basically go straight to streaming there, where people who are subscribed to it could basically see it for inclusion in their subscription. Or if they were going to do something where you had to pay extra on the platform, which some newer movies are doing, where you pay about $19.99, $20 to see the film. So what they decided was that they were going to do both. And by doing both, it means that it is coming out around Christmas. So it's being released internationally, or in the international markets, December 16th. It's going out overseas, but it will be coming out here in the United States on December 25th, Christmas, in time for Christmas, yes, in time for Christmas, and that it will be in theaters in time for Christmas, but it will also be playing on HBO Max for 1 month for those who are subscribed to HBO Max. So it's going to be playing there. And so it's kind of half and half, right? It's kind of saying this idea of, if you really want to see this on the big screen, and if you think your theater's safe, go do that and pay. Or if you already have HBO Max, just watch it on HBO Max, or, get a free, 1 week trial on HBO Max to watch it, but it would be on the small screen. So we're kind of doing half and half, which is fine. but this is the kicker. A lot of blockbusters have been pushed back, right? So now it is going to be going against Monster Hunter, which is a movie I actually have been looking forward to. But originally, the thing is, Monster Hunter, which is based off of the video game of the same name, Monster Hunter, which is starring, and I don't want to butcher her name because that's my girl, Mila Jovovich. Mila Jovovich. We're going to go with that, guys. I'm pretty sure. I always, tongue issues. But Mila is in it, and she, basically headlined the awesome Resident Evil movie series, and she's doing this with Monster Hunter now. So what we're getting is, originally Monster Hunter was supposed to come out in April of next year, April 2021, right? For some reason. And I'll get into why I think they actually did this. They've actually, unlike so many other movies that are getting pushed further and further out, they actually decided to release Monster Hunter earlier than scheduled. But not just on some, okay, let's just release it, go to straight to VOD because we didn't even think this was going to be a hit anyway, so let's just put it out now. No, they are actually doing a exclusively theatrical release come Christmas on international markets and in the United States. So that's a move. That is definitely a move, right? So my thought process on this is, I honestly think the reason why Monster Hunter is doing it is because the Monster Hunter game, which basically is a game that deals with humans or human-like people, because I'm not sure if it's the planet Earth necessarily, human-like people who basically fight monsters that come into their villages and destroy their villages and kill people and things. So basically in the game, you play a person who, with your weapon, because the weapon is what gives you power, taking on these monsters. And so it's not much of a plot in the game, but they've of course added a plot in the movie. And so the game, which has been out for some years, in various, sequels and stuff, starting off on PlayStation, is really popular in the international market. So I think they're kind of figuring, given the fact that it's really the international markets where the theaters are kind of more open, more so than not. I think like in China and some other places, and the fact that this game was already popular over there, and Mila's Resident Evil franchise did huge numbers overseas. It's like Resident Evil, the final chapter starring Mila, did huge offshore business back in 2016 with $285.4 million at the international box office. And that was led by China's $159.5 million. So it kind of makes sense that they're like, well, a lot of the theaters are open in other places that maybe are managing this a little bit better than the US. So it's probably going to do pretty well over there. Now, Wonder Woman is also being released internationally on December 16th. So I think with Monster Hunter, that was a good move. And now the question is, out of the two, because these are the two blockbusters we're getting, y'all. These are it. I don't think they done moved Dune further out. It's not, they ain't trying to put that on streaming for anybody. So many potential blockbusters, Halloween Kills and all that stuff has been moved to next year. And so these are probably our last two potential blockbusters of 2020. So the question is, out of the two, which one is going to do better? Now, you may be thinking, why does it have to be a competition? But, it is going to be a competition, right? When we get to the box office numbers, it's going to be a question of which movie had the better strategy, right? You have Warner Brothers with Wonder Woman that's doing the half streaming, half theaters. They're going to honor the theater showing after the streaming one, and then it's going to go to VOD for $20. And then you have Monster Hunters that's doing straight up theatrical release. Then I'm guessing with the regular, like most movies have done in the past before this pandemic, they're going to then do the whole, DVD, VOD kind of deal. So I think this is going to be a reflection of what's going to work for the next year for movies. And I'm thinking about this for big horror blockbusters too, right? Because this is a horror action flick with Monster Hunter, but you have, Candyman. The remake was supposed to be coming out. That got pushed further down. You have, Halloween Kills that was supposed to come out. That got pushed further down. And it's the question of what's going to be better. You have two potential blockbusters here, be it one is more horror action than the other, but they're both blockbusters. They're both ones that are coming with a lot of clout. And I think this is going to determine what our future fave movies or potential fave movies are going to do. And I think it'll be fun to see which one kind of wins out of the two, depending on the kind of mood the world is in for those who are trying to watch it. So my honest opinion is I think who will win out in terms of the United States, I think Wonder Woman is probably going to do better because they'll probably count things a little bit differently because they can count how many people streamed for HBO Max, how many people signed up for HBO Max, and then the theaters. And you have a franchise of the DC universe behind it. Wonder Woman, the first one, was a huge hit, so it already has that going for it. It has a built-in audience, not just of the people who watch or read the comics and know Wonder Woman, but people who saw the first movie who are going to be interested. And this has been a highly anticipated sequel. So I think it'll probably do better in the US than Monster Hunter will, in the sense that with Monster Hunter, like I was saying, the video game is really popular in overseas markets, although it has gained a following here in the US, but maybe not as much as maybe you could say Resident Evil. That's questionable. Gamers, don't come at me. I didn't necessarily do the stats of which one gets played more, but I'm guessing it was Resident Evil. For the person who's not even into gaming, so if you said a game like World of Warcraft or something like that, people are like, oh, I know that, even if I never played it. You know what I'm saying? So you have that going a little bit against it, and so it's not maybe the most well-known franchise in comparison to Wonder Woman or other video games that could have been adapted. And then it's an initial movie, right? So it's also a movie that doesn't have a highly anticipated sequel kind of vibe to it going into it. That, and it's not doing streaming, right? It's going to be straight up theaters. It's going to depend on theaters. But I think internationally speaking, which honestly, I think that's the numbers that Hollywood's kind of looking at right now when it comes to theatrical releases, which is, I think, why Monster Hunter made the move to release it, because they figured it would do better overseas since a lot of the theaters are open there. I think Monster Hunter might edge out Wonder Woman in that regard. Wonder Woman's a very American kind of franchise, if you think about it. So I don't know, although I think it did well overseas for the most part, and I'll put up the exact numbers in the video, but I think Monster Hunter has a little bit of more of an edge in the markets and the audience that they may be trying to go towards internationally in that regard. Or which one I think is going to be the better movie. Now, mind you, I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't be going to a theater at all for either of these movies right now. Honestly, I think I'm going to be honest, I think Monster Hunter is going to be more of my vibe. This is a horror channel and there's monsters in it. So I think it's probably going to be more my vibe. And I love Mila. I love her. I think she is a awesome action hero. And I just loved her in the Resident Evil series. I loved her in a lot of other movies that she's done too. She just really, she carries these kind of movies. It's so her thing. And I think Monster Hunter is going to be a lot of fun. So I don't know. I'm interested to see where this goes necessarily. My bet is on Monster Hunter performing better money-wise. I think in terms of the United States, I think Wonder Woman's probably going to get a lot more play, though, just because it's the more recognizable brand behind it. But I love me some big monsters and action horror, so I'm rooting for it. And I don't think this is anything to compare to women leads. If anything, I think it's something to celebrate that this blockbuster season, even if it's the pandemic, has the two major blockbusters coming out are women led, which is awesome, I think. So I'm not comparing who's going to be better in that terms or anything like that. Just more so how they did the rollout and what that's going to mean for the future of how we get to see our movies. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I think it'll be better, especially something like Wonder Woman being such a huge franchise. I think it is going to get some people who are going to be willing to risk it. And let's be honest, it's a risk to head to the theater and watch it. So I would have preferred they just had it go straight to VOD in the US and then did maybe internationally go to theaters, because I just don't really think we're in a position right now where we should encourage that. With that said, I know money talks in Hollywood and people want to make their money back with their budget. So we'll see about that. Okay, Twisted people, so that is my rundown on Wonder Woman 1984 versus Monster Hunter. Which one do you think is going to win out in terms of the box office, both nationally and internationally? Let me know, comment down below. Which one are you more excited to check out, Monster Hunter or Wonder Woman 1984? These are our two blockbusters that we seem to be getting going out of 2020. So let me know, comment down below, and also be sure to subscribe so that you're the first to know when I post my videos. Thanks for watching. Let's get creepy together.